is going to be putting together a show on Channel 6 as well on Truckee Police, and that'll be fun. Welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm your host, Maya Schneider, and it's great to be back in the studio after our holiday hiatus. Happy New Year to all of you. Our guest on today's show is Karen Boatsman. Karen, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Maya.
It's nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
Now, Karen, you manage the Tahoe Forest Hospice gift and thrift stores.
I do.
All right, tell us about the gift and thrift stores. What are those?
They're basic thrift stores, but we've taken a new kind of formula and tried to apply that formula to these thrift stores. You could probably tell me more about it because you're one of our best shoppers, Maya.
Well, you're sitting on chairs that we purchased at the gift and thrift.
My idea is to get you some new chairs. These are awful. We have an attitude of keeping the store as clean as possible. We want high quality goods in the store, but you know, we have just about everything. If it was ever made and purchased, it gets donated sooner or later.
Well, you know, you mentioned me shopping in the store. One of the things that impresses me about your store is I'm used to having to cull through a lot of goods before you find that one magic thing. And in your store, it seems like most of the goods are nearly new. They're hardly worn and aren't ragged and chipped and torn to pieces.
Good, I'm glad you noticed that. We have many merchants that have been giving us lots and lots of brand new equipment, items, clothing, all sorts of things that have really added to the success of the store.
Well, that must mean a lot, having the support of local merchants in the store.
And the number keeps growing too, and they're very, very generous. Such a large number of them continue to give and give and give. They don't just give one time, but they give all during the year. So it's kind of fun, and people will hear certain merchant gave us new items, and they're right there shopping.
Okay, we're going to be talking more about the stores, but let's back up a little bit. First of all, let's talk about your background. How did you get involved with this, and where do you hail from?
I come from Amador County, which Jackson, Sutter Creek area. It's a little bit south of Placerville for people that don't know where it is. And I got involved with hospice because I had a friend that was a patient. And I was a caregiver for that friend. And she didn't want to die in a hospital, and we were caring for her at home, and hospice came into the picture. Nurses came to help, social worker, but back then it was about, probably about 11 years ago, most hospices were all volunteer. I had never heard of hospice, and I was very, very interested in what they did. They certainly made that time period easier, was much more comfortable for my friend and for us. So I felt indebted to hospice, but also very curious about how I could get involved and help out.
And hospice's role is really to provide a dignified path for the family and the patient of somebody coming to the end of their life.
Right. Hospice is different now. Even it's grown and evolved into an organization that is very supportive, very positive. It used to be that people thought of it kind of as the Grim Reaper, and now it's not that at all. It's very, very positive, helpful, living the best you can live those days, and comfortable in your home. I have a friend that just was helped by the Truckee Hospice. The team that helped involved the nurses, the social workers, the bereavement care that was given to her family, the home health people that helped care for her in her home. When she started this journey, she was pretty much bedridden and in a lot of pain. And this team, this amazing hospice team, came into her home, and in about an 8-month period of time, she took half a dozen trips. She got away from her bed, and they take and they do pain control so marvelously, and it's just a wonderful thing to see. So that's what makes me so passionate about hospice, you know, to see that I've had friends that their last time here, their last days were made so much more comfortable and happier, and so that of the family and the friends.
That's one of the beauties of hospice that people really, I think, come to appreciate is the support for the families, not only the patient. We give a lot of kudos to Eileen Knudsen, who runs Tahoe Forest Hospice. She really puts together a great program there. If you want information on Tahoe Forest Hospice, the number to call there is 582-3534, and any one of the volunteers or staffers there can give you information on that.
She's quite a visionary.
Yes, she is.
I have to hand it to her.
She's created quite a program. Now, she needs an army of volunteers to keep her work going. You must as well. You staff your stores with volunteers.
Absolutely.
Well, talk about that. How do you train your volunteers, and how do you draft them?
My favorite subject. The volunteers are the absolute foundation of this store. Without the volunteers, we couldn't do it. And we need about twice as many as we have. Right now, we're looking to double our ranks. People are working 4 hours a week, generally some 8 hours a week. But everybody gets a little nervous about that because up here there's so many snowbirds. We have people that work 1 month on, 1 month off. We have some people that work every other week. We have some people that work every single Thursday. We really adapt to whatever a person's schedule is. And it seems to work out really well. So many of our people right now are where it's warm, which isn't here. But they're in Mexico, or and they
Palm
go
Desert.
for 3 to 6 months.
That's right.
So we need a winter crew to kind of replace this crew that's gone. So we're really out there trying to drum up some help.
If folks want to get a hold of you at the store to find out more about the store, about volunteering, the number there?
It's 582-4947.
That's great. And we'll be repeating this again throughout the show. But again, if you're interested in more information about volunteering at the Thrift and Gift Store, 582-4947.
And it's fun. It's totally fun. And it's a happy place to work. There's all kinds of jobs to do. And I think that I haven't met anyone so far that doesn't just have a blast while they're there.
Well, and you've kept the same faces. I mean, since the store opened at 4th of July a year ago, so it's now been almost a year and a half, or over a year and a half. A number of the same faces are still there, and that's a nice thing. That's a good thing to be able to say. It's hard to keep employees that long, let alone volunteers.
You probably noticed when you come in, there's a lot of laughter.
Yes.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And mostly it's mission focused. We're there to make money for patient care. So if you work in the store, that's what you're doing. No matter what you do, you're caring for a patient or their family. And that's the best part. And everybody likes sharing that mission. And although we're a retail environment, we're definitely mission-based, and everybody's happy to be making that effort towards caring for the patients and their families.
Now, your Truckee store is located on Meadow Way. And in case our viewers aren't sure where that is, Meadow Way is off of Donner Pass Road, right by Wild Cherries. If you get to Wild Cherries or Station 92 of the fire department, or over by 7-Eleven, or whatever your landmarks are, Meadow Way is there, and you're on the west side of the street. And good location.
Easy to find, real easy to find.
Well, let's talk about your merchandise. Now, you mentioned merchants give you some merchandise, donate new merchandise that they couldn't sell off of their shelves, and then of course you have donations. Why don't you tell us about the rules for donating to the Thrift and Gift Store?
It's pretty basic. If you'd buy it, we probably will take it. We can't take several items because of OSHA standards. We can't take a lot of children's furniture. Generally, it's been recalled or something by the time it gets to us. So it's good. The best thing to do is just call us before you come. Use that phone number. We take donations Monday through Saturday. We take donations 11 o'clock until 3 o'clock, but that's until we're full. And so if you could just give us a phone call first, it helps a lot for you and for us. We can tell you we're too full today because everybody's been so generous this week, or we can tell you what items that you're thinking about bringing, how much of that we can take, or if there's something that you have that we can't take.
And then you cull through that as well and sort through what people give to you. What are the top sellers at the store?
Clothing. Right now, wonderful ski clothing. We just put out today brand new $200 truck boots that we're selling for $40, and great ski clothes. That's a big seller. And then housewares. We have perfectly wonderful housewares that we sell for such a fraction of what they cost in the original store that those are the two things we make the most money on.
Did you see a large influx of donations right after Christmas? People making room for the new things or getting rid of some things they didn't want?
Yes, absolutely. We've pretty much been inundated this week, and the community is very patient with us because sometimes we have to say we can't take any more today. We're a small store. That's why it's so important to call first, and we thank everyone for their patience. Sometimes they'll have to come by 3 or 4 times to make it so that we can accept the goods because of the small space. But we try and we hustle as fast as we can, and we thank everyone for their patience. Just that phone call really helps, I think, on both ends.
So call first if you want to make a donation of gently used materials to the Thrift and Gift Store, 582-4947. Karen, you recently opened a store in Kings Beach.
Kings Beach store is doing great.
Congratulations, that's great.
We have a wonderful manager over there, Laura Muller, and she's doing a fine job. That's a good part about our stores. So far we've been just blessed and fortunate to not only have this great team of awesome volunteers, but our employees, the little handful of employees that we have are very exceptional people. And yeah, Kings Beach is going gung-ho.
Rip-roaring. Now your Kings Beach store is located on North Lake Boulevard.
On the corner of Coon and North Lake.
And North Lake. All right. Now that was the old, or is still, I guess, the Remax building in Kings Beach, if you're familiar with Kings Beach.
Yeah, right beside Joby's Music.
All right. So you get your landmarks so you can get yourself to the stores. The store's hours are?
They're same as ours. We are open at 10 and we close at 5. They are only open right now Tuesday through Saturday, but they're planning to open in February 7 days a week like we are.
So 7 days a week for the Truckee store, 5 days a week for the Kings Beach store. So Karen, what's next? What's next for you? What's next for hospice? What's next for the gift and thrift stores?
It is a matter of an evolving store. We call the Kings Beach is our baby store, and the Truckee store is our teenage store right now. Neither one of them are full-fledged adult stores yet. So we're working out the kinks. And what we need most, it's a volunteer drive. That's pretty much why I came on today. And we are going to continue to build that volunteer group and work out the kinks in both stores. We're going to do that. If the community calls for it, of course, we'd start another store or grow the stores, but we're not sure. We're taking baby steps as we go to see.
Let's talk about the relationship between the store and the hospice, because you can travel many of the other foothill communities and I'm sure other locations, and you find thrift stores that are dedicated to hospice fundraising. Why is that? Why are the two synonymous with one another?
I think that's interesting that you say synonymous because, in fact, some people think hospice is a thrift store.
Whoops.
Yeah, but that's okay. You know, maybe they've never had a need to use hospice care. Maybe they've not had a loved one that used the services of the nurses and the social workers. So they still think it's a thrift store. The thrift stores are very valuable to us because in hospice, insurance, Medicare cover only about 70% of what it costs to actually care for that patient. So there's a big gap there. There's like a 30% that how do you pay for it? Well, there's fundraisers, and fundraisers are wonderful, but that's a lot of work. Now this is kind of, we look at it as an ongoing fundraiser, so it stabilizes that gap. That, in fact, I think it was just the last 2 months, this local hospice finally was put in the black, and it's due to the stores, the success of the stores. And I think other the other hospices that you're talking about have found that to be true too. Although some haven't been successful, they have to hit on that right formula on how to run the stores. But
yeah, I think people need to also have an appreciation of how expensive it is to run a hospice program. The medicines alone, the medications that are dispensed through hospice, must be an extraordinary figure in the budget.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
So every time you buy at one of these gift and thrift stores, you're really helping the hospice and helping a patient.
Absolutely. That 30% gap's been closing, and now it's in a position. The hospice that I worked for before here, the thrift stores were able to keep the hospice open and make it so that they could be running those agencies in the black. So it's kind of fun to see that happen. When I wanted to become involved with hospice, I was, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a home health person, I'm not a social worker, how can I get involved with hospice? And this opportunity came up, so I feel very blessed to be able to be involved with this organization.
It's a great way to get involved, and especially if you want to get involved not necessarily directly with patients, but still want to support the hospice program, the retail stores are a great way to do this. If you want to volunteer at either the Kings Beach or the Truckee store, you can contact Karen, again it's Karen Boatsman, at 582-4947. 582-4947 for information on volunteering for the Tahoe Forest Hospice Gift and Thrift. And if you want information on the hospice and the hospice programs, Eileen Knudsen is the coordinator there, and her number is 582-3534. Well, what kind of goodies can people expect to see in the store in the next few months? What are you expecting from your merchants? And by the way, while you're here, we should give your merchants a thank you. You can list them by name if you'd like.
You know, the list is awfully long, and I'm thinking, oh no, what if I leave somebody out? I wouldn't want to leave anybody out. We're pretty vocal about it in the stores. This came from this merchant, this came from this merchant, and when a merchant does donate to us, we make sure to tell the people that shop there, this is the store it came from, these are the people that brought it in. So I would really feel bad if I left somebody out.
Well, come on into the store to find out who's donating.
But great stores. People are amazed. That came from that store, and wonderful items too, and huge donations, not just little tiny donations.
No, I've gone in and purchased brand new pieces of apparel, clothing, shoes, brand new, for a fraction of what it would have cost me to buy them new in the retail stores. That's a great boon for anybody in Truckee, let alone anybody here on a budget, which is practically everybody in Truckee.
I was going to say something about the volunteering and also the merchants, the people that contribute to us and bring the donations in. There's a favorite saying of mine: if you want to leave your footprints in the sands of time, wear work boots. And also I've found that the people that get the most done in a community are the people that don't care who get the credit. They don't care who gets the credit. And we found that that's what's part of the success of hospice and the success of the stores. I was very interested to find out that this is all volunteer here too.
Yes.
So you know what I'm talking about. And also the kind of people that volunteer. It's quite a high quality person that volunteers. It's an amazing group of people. I think it's the best part of being involved with volunteers, is getting to know that group of people.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've experienced a difference between Amador County and here in Truckee, but we certainly find in our community, and I think you're experiencing this, that things get done because we have such a high level of volunteerism, because so many people are involved and make things happen from all walks of life and all activities. Truckee runs on its volunteers. And if you're interested in volunteering at the store, please do call Karen, 582-4947.
Come have some fun.
That's right, and do it for a good cause. Karen, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great having you here. Again, the Tahoe Forest Hospice Gift and Thrift Stores, one located on Meadow Way in Truckee and the second store in Kings Beach, on North Lake Boulevard. If you want to make donations, please call the store ahead of time. Again, you can contact the store at 582-4947. And if you're interested in volunteering at either one of the two stores, please contact Karen and she can get you set up and trained. We'll be back in just a minute with some upcoming events in and around our region, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the show, and in our completely disorganized fashion, your host has not done a good job with this week's event, so we're just winging it here, so stand by. There's a couple of different things coming up in and about our region for the upcoming week, and I'll just list some of them here for you with thanks to our volunteers here. Tibetan monks are visiting Reno January 22nd through the 24th. That's 7 monks from the Tashi Lunpo Monastery, and they're visiting Reno the 22nd through the 24th as part of a Buddhist teaching tour to raise funds for their struggling monastery in exile. This tour is endorsed by the Dalai Lama and sponsored locally by the UNR Office of International Students and Scholars. You can contact UNR for more information at 775-825-5583. See, coming up at North Star at Tahoe, now remember they don't do Merchants Day anymore at North Star at Tahoe, so the Youth Education Day is coming up on Sunday, January 12th. You need to pre-purchase your tickets. Pre-purchase tickets are $20 a pop. Guys, that's worth it. Get out there and buy your tickets. These will benefit Excellence in Education. You know that's a great funding source. We want to make sure that we benefit all of our community's educational goals. And again, Youth Education Day, Sunday, January 12th. Get your tickets at Porter's and Bank of the West. Let's see, I'll come over here to the Sierra Sun, and we see that Kids Fly Free on January 11th. The Truckee chapter of the Experimental Aircraft Association will be offering free local orientation flights for youngsters from ages 8 through 17 at the Truckee Tahoe Airport. Now, they've done this a few years, and you can contact Charlie White at 587-4811 for more information. Again, that's Kids Fly Free, January 11th. Call Charlie, 587-4811. I love living in a town where you can just say, call Charlie. You know, another thing about living in Truckee is you can dial a wrong number and still get somebody you know, which is another thing I like about living in Truckee. Coming up, events at the Kids Zone in January. Family Wellness with Catherine Hill, Monday the 13th. Playgroup for toddlers only. We'll have none of those big kids here. Tuesdays in January. And here's one that the folks have got to be paying attention to. Preschool French classes. Parles-tu français? How do you ask for peas in French? Well, preschool French classes for 3s and 4-year-olds, Wednesdays in January. I'm not making this up. Kindergarten French classes, that would be the next higher up level here, I guess. They're probably speaking much better French than I have. Free music together with Catherine Hill. Kids cooking class, I'm sure there's no wine involved in that. You must register for each of these classes at the Kids Zone, 587-8322. That came to us courtesy Moonshine Inc. We want to thank Moonshine Inc. There are a couple of other events coming up. There's an audition for a play coming up, All Ages Welcome. Mary Stamp says we need talent. The auditions are Tuesday, January 14th from 3 to 5 p.m. January 14th and January 21st from 3 to 5 p.m. Contact Mary Stamps at 582-0163 for details. Of course, if you want to volunteer here at the very well-run Truckee Talks, we would love to have you. We have a production meeting coming up. If you're interested, please call me, Maya, at home, 587-4982, or you can call the TTC TV studios at 582-1194. Well, as erratic as this show was, it's good to be back in the studio. We welcome you to the year 2003 and wish you and your families a safe, sane, and healthy new year. And we want to thank Hartley, Patty, Fletch, Jack for showing up again, and we want to welcome Vince, Eric, and Melissa as new volunteers to the program. We'll see you next week on Truckee Talks.